Hello everyone! Hello everyone! Come down now! Uncle John is here, and I must say this room looks like the spare garage of my third castle. So I am scrolling through Truth Social, sipping gold-plated coffee when what do I see? Trump is bragging. He just completely destroyed Iran's nuclear fortress called Fordo with a full payload of bombs. Sounds like me crushing a casino in Macau. But then boom, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, yes, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, the space shuttle guys, dropped satellite images showing Trump's explosion was 3 kilometers off target. 3 kilometers? That is not a victory. That is a miss. Let us get this straight. Trump orders B-2 bombers to drop 12 GBU-57 bombs, the bunker buster kind as big as my truck on Fordo. He also fires 30 Tomahawk missiles at Natanz, and Isfahan calls it a spectacular military success. But the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, with their satellites that hunt wildfires, spots a big heat signature, the sign of an explosion, on an empty hill 3 kilometers from Fordo's entrance. Like when I aim for a deer in the woods but hit the neighbor's chicken coop and call it legendary hunting. You have to understand, I do not care if Trump hit or miss. I have stocks in bomb-making companies in the United States and oil wells in the Middle East. Hit or miss, I am still cashing in. But this game is too funny. Trump goes on, Truth Social yells, "We obliterated Iran's nuclear program." While Iran says, "Yes, thanks for blowing up a hill." Fordo is fine, no radiation leaks at all. And the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, those nerdy science guys, accidentally turned Trump into an international punchline. Brent, crude oil, just jumped to $80 a barrel because of this, making my yacht cost a few million more a month. I am fine. I can buy an oil company. But you, good luck filling your car at $10 a gallon. Let us keep going and see how ridiculous this victory gets. You have to understand, folks, this airstrike is not about nuclear weapons. It is about Trump wanting to look cool on television. He posts on Truth Social, "We dropped a full payload on Fordo. Espectacular success." Then the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, like a grumpy school teacher, raises their hand and says, "Excuse me, Mr. President, your explosion was 3 kilometers off target." 3 kilometers! That is not precision, that is like me crashing my yacht into a dock but bragging I meant to make waves. Look at the hypocrisy. Trump screams we destroyed Fordo, Natanz, Isfahan, Iran's interior nuclear program. But Iran with a smirk says, "Yes, we evacuated all our nuclear materials beforehand. Thanks for landscaping." Iran's deputy head of state television, Hassan Abedini, goes on air, says no major damage, no radiation leaks. Like when I hire a demolition crew to tear down an old warehouse, but they wreck my horse stable, and I still have to pay. Then you have experts like Mark Kimmett, a former United States official, saying there is no way to call it permanently destroyed. Really? Trump says obliterated, but maybe he just obliterated some rocks on a hill. And the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, oh boy, they are the funniest sidekick. They did not mean to embarrass Trump, they were just doing their job hunting wildfires on Mars or whatever. But their satellite images showing the explosion 3 kilometers from Fordo are like a public slap. I picture Trump calling the National Aeronautics and Space Administration's director yelling, "Why did you ruin my story with your stupid satellites?" The National Aeronautics and Space Administration probably just shrugs, says, "We just report the data, sir." Like when my accountant says I cannot deduct taxes for my 7th yacht. The truth is, the whole world is laughing. But you know who pays the price? You regular folks with gas prices spiking and markets shaking. Me. I just bought more oil stocks when everyone panicked. Let us see how messy this gets when Trump tries to fix his mistake. So what happens when the National Aeronautics and Space Administration exposes Trump? Chaos. That is what Trump goes on. Truth Social insists our attacks were perfect. Fordo is gone. But Iran, with a tone like they are selling Persian rugs, says Fordo is still there, not a serious scratch. Then there is this twist. Experts look at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration satellite images and say yes, maybe the GBU-57 bombs did not hit Fordo's core because that fortress is 80 to 90 meters deep in a mountain with zigzagging tunnels. Like when I try to crack a rival's safe but only scratch the surface and he still keeps his goal. The reactions are comedy gold. Trump red face says the National Aeronautics and Space Administration is wrong. We hit exactly where we wanted. But his allies like Israel start muttering, yes, maybe not totally obliterated, but delayed a few months. Iran smirk says, thanks America for the free advertising for our nuclear program. Meanwhile, Russia and China jumping say the United States is a threat to world peace. Like they never sold weapons to anyone. It is like a party on my yacht where everyone pretends to be moral, but they all have knives behind their backs. I know, because my knife is diamond-studded. The ugly truth. Trump got embarrassed. He wanted to look like a master strategist, but the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, with their silly satellites, turned him into a clown. And you regular folks pay for this circus. Oil prices spike, supply chains crumble, and over 200 Iranians died, mostly civilians, from the attacks. I am fine. I have oil futures to cash in. But you, good luck when your electric bill looks like my private island maintenance invoice. Let us wrap this up with my billion-dollar lesson. Alright, let us sum it up. Trump orders bombs on 3 of Iran's nuclear sites, brags on Truth Social. He obliterated Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan. Then, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, like a cranky uncle, drops satellite images showing Trump's explosion happened on an empty hill 3 kilometers from Fordo. Iran laughs, says no significant damage. Trump yells the National Aeronautics and Space Administration is wrong. But the world knows he messed up. Oil prices saw market shake, and I am sitting here counting cash from energy stocks. That is the script, folks. Here is what I learned. Politicians are overpriced clowns. Trump brags about a spectacular success, but maybe he just blew up some rocks. Iran says they are untouchable, but they evacuated their nuclear materials first, so who cares? The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, those boring science guys, accidentally humiliate Trump, proving the truth always ruins a good story. It is all a show. And you know who pays for the tickets? You regular folks with higher gas and grocery bills? Me? I am just sitting on my private jet watching the drama and laughing. The deeper truth. Nobody cares about you. Trump wants to look cool. Iran wants to save face. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration just wants accurate data. They will yell about security or science, but it is really about power. Power to control the story oil markets. That is why I have my own airline, Freedom Air. No bombs, no politics, just open skies and top shelf wine. You should try it if you can afford it. Looking back, this is not new. Wars, bragging failures, it is like the Bay of Pigs in 1961 but with satellites. And the future? Trump will post again. Iran will rebuild Fordo. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration will find more wildfires. I will still be rich. The lesson here? Leverage, folks. You do not need to hit the target, you just need to own the game. That is why I am rich, and that is why I am out. God bless this mess, and good luck to the rest of you.